My name is David Tully. I'm chairman of the Sarnia Organ Donor Awareness Group. We call it the SODA Group for short. We founded this group in Sarnia because a few of us went through the process of having a transplant. Now, in my particular case, I've had a double lung transplant. One of the other folks with us had a double lung and heart transplant, and another person was on a kidney transplant waiting list. And what we went through, at the time we were going through it, we found out there was a severe lack of awareness in the Sarnia area, and therefore we felt it was probably all across Ontario and Canada in general, that people, through no fault of their own, are just not aware of the real need for organ donors. As it stands right now, with the number of people in Ontario that are waiting for this operation, for whatever organ is necessary, it even makes groups like ourselves more necessary to operate and get out there and spread the word for the need for organ donation. I had my transplant in December of '93. From the day that I had my transplant till now, I've counted myself as one of the very lucky people that was able to have a lifelong problem cured, even if it was only for 1 or 2 days. And in fact, now it's been 5 years. So I don't know what percentage that puts me in of these lucky candidates, that are lucky people are still surviving. But each and every day, I thank God that I've been given another chance to be here. And in trying to repay that, I've tried to put as much time as I can back into the Sarnia Organ Donor Awareness Group. At the time of my operation, I had been off work for about 2 years, and I was put on a waiting list, which unfortunately in Ontario, you go on a waiting list when you're really at the end of the line, to speak, really to put it in blunt terms. There's no other hope for you, so you're on a waiting list, and with the luck of God and the hope of your family and the prayers of everybody, you will receive a organ from another person that has passed away.
For your...
I was one of the very lucky people that actually waited on the waiting list for 1 month. But in reality, I waited for 45 years. This is how long I had the problem. And since I've had this, went on the waiting list, I had been on the oxygen hose for approximately 6 to 8 months before that. So, each and every day that I was in that situation on an oxygen machine, I sometimes think of that now when I wonder if we're doing any good as a group, because I know the people now that are on waiting lists are, in fact, their quality of life is terrible. In fact, some people are looking at a death sentence, that if they do not get an organ within a prescribed time, they will undoubtedly die. There are other people, in the case of kidney needs, that are on dialysis, which just takes away from your quality of life completely. Hooked up to a machine, there's 2 or 3 different ways to have it, but hooked up to a machine in every day, this is not a good way to live. It's another point why we feel we have to go out and make sure that the people are at least aware of the need for organ donation.
So what would you like to tell Canadians?
I think if I had a chance to go on a national TV show and tell everybody at one time how I feel about the organ donation and what it could mean to the country, I would start getting people in that are on the waiting list. I would let the rest of Canada see the suffering and the pain that these people are going through. Then I would bring in some people that have had the operation, have had the transplant, and let the rest of Canada once again see that these people can come back and lead a productive life. They can go back to their old jobs in many cases, or they can continue to help out and do, with their family. The big thing is your family still has you. And I think we're all, as compassionate Canadians, very sensitive to that.
If you could say anything to the donor family, or all donor families that have donated, what would that be?
In my case, I've tried to contact the donor family. I've sent them a letter and, in fact, never received a reply. I'm told by the people at University Hospital London that this isn't unusual. But I would say to all donor families that, thank you, thank you, thank you. That you have given one of the most precious gifts that anybody on the face of the earth can give. It's an unfortunate fact that we all on the face of this earth will at some point in time die, either through natural causes or through accidental death. And if, in the case of death, if we can leave an ongoing legacy and help another person, I don't think there's any greater gift than that a person can get involved in. So I would say to all donor families, thank you very much, and all potential donor families, please consider this very carefully, and hopefully you will agree to it.
Back even for the first 3 years, I wrote every year on the anniversary of my transplant. You can't sign your name on it, and you can't send it yourself. You send it to the what's Steve in London, social worker,
Right.
and you send it to him, and then he forwards it on, and I've never had a reply back.
Would you like to meet them?
I'd love to. Yeah.
So George is trying to work on like a mutual consent kind of thing, where both parties, if they wanted to, would that be all right?
Oh, it would be absolutely, because when I first got my transplant, after for the first day, I thought I could hear this person's voice.
Right.
And every time I thought about it, I thought maybe he had grandkids and they've lost him, and because I have his liver now, that I'm alive and he's not.
But he's living through you.
That's right now. And I would like them to know how successful it was, and my quality of life is great.
How long did it take you on the waiting list to get a liver?
I had the beeper for a year, 1 week less a year. Before that, though, I had been sick for about 29 or 30 years.
Yeah.
And at the very end, I was really sick. I was so sick I couldn't hardly leave the house. George would say, my husband, George would say, do you want to go for a little drive? And I'd say, okay. And we'd go out of the house, and I'd get to the car, and I'd have to go back in. I couldn't go. So it was.
How did the transplant
After I had the transplant on Good Friday, the 13th,
well, good day.
1990. And 2 days later, I was standing up at the sink washing my hair, helping the nurse wash my hair. So that's my quality. That's how it started for me. And I'm not one of these people who wait for anything. I want to get it done tomorrow, yesterday rather. And I did. I just kept pushing and pushing and pushing, and I wouldn't let them do anything for me. I said, this is my favorite saying, I want to do it myself. And so they let me too, pretty much. And the first time to go down to have a shower by yourself, I went down there, and then I guess I was a little long coming back, and they all thought that and then I sat and I couldn't reach, I was too tired and I couldn't reach the buzzer. Finally I did, and then they all came running thinking that I'd hurt myself somehow. But